The primary responsibility of every business owner is to be organized. It's not to make money, it's not to grow the biggest, baddest business and so on and so forth. It's actually to be organized. If you're an entrepreneur and you have an accountant or a CPA that's doing your books and you do not have access to your books, change your CPA.
Hello, and welcome to Small Biz Catalyst. I am your host, Ayisat Abilagun. Join me as we explore ways that we as small business owners can pay ourselves a growing six-figure salaries without pulling out our hair. Whether you're a small business owner or an economic development professional, this show is for you. Let's explore together. In today's episode, we will explore ways to keep your accounting simplified. If you haven't listened to our second episode, How to Grow Your Small Business Revenue, please go and listen. And this episode will be even more beneficial after you do so. This is a deep dive from that episode, from episode number 2. And this time around, we are diving deeper into the concept of separating your income and monitoring your cash flow. So we'll address S and M from the SMART tips from episode 2 in this episode. Let's get to the studio. Okay, Amatayo, thank you so much for joining us today. It's such a pleasure to have you. And I want our listeners to know a little bit about you. So, you own a CPA firm. But according to the little birdie, you're also an angel investor and you do other things. Could you share a little bit about you, what you do, and maybe your background? And then we'll jump into the questions. I just want our audience to know a little bit about you.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Hi, everyone. My name is Tosin Omotayo. I am the managing partner of OmotayoCPA. We're a CPA firm located in Dallas, Texas, and we focus on startups to mid-sized businesses, and pretty much we'll do A to Z of whatever a business needs. My running joke is, whatever you need from us, we'll do it, because what we really want to focus on is to partner up with you, right? Because we are experts at finance, accounting, payroll, taxes, audits, reviews, so on and so forth, right? And you are going to be that expert when it comes to the operations of your business, running your business, knowing how to get customers, how to grow your business. And we just want to be able to support you because we understand many of us entrepreneurs and business owners, we wear multiple hats. We're
That's
everything
true.
to the business. And whenever we can find a trusted partner that can help take on one of those responsibilities, we need to come together and be able to work so that we can grow our dreams, grow our businesses, and expand and scale. So that's really what we want to do. So our main focus is going to be probably virtual CFO services, accounting services, payroll, tax, consulting, mergers and acquisition, due diligence. I can list it all day long. However, to make it easier, you can just schedule a 15-minute kick the tire call with me, and we'll go through any issues that you have and we can help sort you out. And we work with clients all over the world, really, all over the US, all over, different continents.
That's
All right. So,
awesome. And that's
yes.
unique. If you want to just share a little bit again about what you do, but this time around, I want you to share a little bit about you too, like your experience. I know you've got a gamut, and I'm so excited that you're not local to Texas. You do national and international accounting services, should I call it, but I don't want to limit them. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
I mean, I don't talk too much about myself because it really takes a team to do what we're doing.
That's
I've
true.
got a great set of staff. There's about 30 of us here, and they're the ones that make it happen. But just a little bit about me, I'm Nigerian. I was born in
Yay!
Nigeria, but I grew up in Ivory Coast, though.
Oh,
We moved to Ivory Coast when I was 5 because my dad used to work for African Development Bank, and he's also an accountant, actually, a chartered
oh
accountant.
wow.
My mom is a chartered accountant, and she was an entrepreneur. She had like stores and all that
Yeah.
stuff that she was running. So we grew up in Ivory Coast, and then I came over to the US for college and kind of stayed here ever since. And I mean, it was kind of easy early on when I went to college or university. I really knew that I wanted to do something in business. So I kind of walked into the college as business. And I guess maybe because of my heritage as accounting, I just went along into the accounting field. But I think it was intentional because in accounting, you get to learn so much of what's going on in business.
Absolutely.
You've got to do finance courses, economics
Yes.
courses, accounting courses itself, business management courses, and so on. So you kind of get that broad understanding of business, which I knew is where I really wanted to go, but using accounting as that linchpin
Yes.
to be able to support those aspirations that I had.
That's awesome.
So during college, because I am Nigerian and my parents are very extremely supportive of everything we
Hmm.
do, I was early on connected with another CPA that had his own practice and so on. So during college, actually, that's where I interned, kind of went into a full time job there and so on, and kind of grew in that small firm all the way till my master's courses until I graduated from master's.
Wow.
So really, I got my feet wet, and it was more of an
Hmm.
apprenticeship rather than a job because I got to do everything, the A to Z for clients.
Awesome.
And I think that was a good training ground for me because I didn't want to get pigeonholed into one type of accounting or one specialty because I wanted to be able to help business owners from A to Z. And usually the startups to the mid-size firm or companies, they don't have that many people that can speak their language.
Yes.
We might be a little too technical with them whenever we as professionals, are interacting with them. But what they need is to be able to relate those technicalities in such a way that it doesn't bog them
That's
down
true.
from being able to do their businesses, but also help them structure it
That's
properly.
awesome.
So I was able to kind of learn that through there. And after I left the small firm, I went to a few regional CPA firms. And then in 2010, after I passed my CPA exam,
Yay!
I opened up my practice and
Wow.
I started getting some clients, referrals. My wife, who was my girlfriend back then, actually got me my first client. All right.
So
So
she
that's
was
how
a
you know she's a
keeper.
keeper, right? That's right. That's right. That's right. You've gotta have people. I mean, we might talk a little bit more about this, but you definitely have to have a village around you.
Absolutely.
But moving on, got a couple of clients. So I was testing out the entrepreneurial side of it
Yes.
because I didn't want to just jump into it. Bills don't stop just because you want to be an
That's true.
entrepreneur. So I was working, and then I was having this side hustle, and as it was growing and proving itself that it's something that I have the ability to do and
Yes.
be successful at. Then I thought about it. I sat down and I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? In all of my accounting experience, I've done XYZ, well, all these different things. Why don't I use all those skills I've used for all of these other business owners and use it for myself?
Wow.
One of those skills was mergers and acquisitions. We've done many, many mergers and acquisition consulting. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go out there and buy another CPA firm. And I bought my first CPA firm in 2014, and we've done multiple mergers
Wow.
and acquisitions over that time. And that's also what helped launch me to going full time into entrepreneurship. And that's a little bit of my story. And thankfully, again, going back to my very, very first point, over that time, it's all been about great people who are still with me,
Yes.
even from that beginning. I've got great staff. I am a little bit challenging to work with, but it's because I'm a dreamer. I've got big dreams. I've got big aspirations. So I'm always keeping my team on their toes, and there's never a dull day around here. All right.
Like most entrepreneurs, we all start out with a dream. And one of the reasons, honestly, you came highly recommended as a guest. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you is because with us entrepreneurs, we really need to know that whoever we're talking to understands us, understands our plights. You know that we've got big dreams, we're ready to do anything, but we may not know exactly what to do, but you show us the rope and we're going to jump it. And so we recently had an episode on how to grow your business. And you're the expert on one of the topics because you deal with books, finance, and businesses. And so we wanted to delve more into the topic of separating and monitoring your cash flow as a business owner. Because, yes, as business owners, we need, we may be concerned about our service or our product, but really without our books, everything could come crumbling. So I've got a couple questions for you, actually more than a couple questions for you today to help our listeners understand how to really monitor their cash flow and how to really separate their finances in such a way that sets them up for success. So my first question for you today is, what are some of the common mistakes that you've seen entrepreneurs make when it comes to handling their finances for their business?
So one thing I always say, I have a whole lot of sayings, all right? So I'll probably say one thing I always say a lot. So just bear with me
Don't
everyone
worry, we'll
here.
put all of
All
them in a
right?
jar.
But yeah, thank you. All right. One thing I always say is that the primary responsibility of every business owner
Hmm.
is to be organized. It's not to make money, it's not to grow the biggest, baddest business and so on and so forth. It's actually to be organized. And why do I say organized over everything else? Is because you can't get to those everything else if you are not organized. It's maybe let's use the imagery of
Okay.
construction. All right, there's no way to build a tower, a 56-story tower, or I think we're like in a 17-story building here. There's no way to build it without first building a proper foundation. So if you use that example, the primary reason for construction or the primary goal of construction is first have a good foundation before you start building everything on top, because without a good foundation, the building is not going to stand strong or even stand for long.
And I'm taking
All right.
notes.
So, no problem. No problem. So, going back into business and entrepreneurs, the first thing you must do is have the proper structure. You've got to understand your structure before you start trying to get some clients, before you start growing your revenue, before you start hiring employees, before you start doing this and doing that and listening to all the noise that's out there on social media about write offs and this and that. Oh my goodness. All right. So, therefore, the common mistake is forgetting that you are responsible to be
Hmm.
organized. And I mean, I've got some breakdowns on how to be organized, and I'll just make it short because I know we've got a few
Yes.
questions here and I'm long winded. All right. So, number one, if you're serious about business, register a
Okay.
business. Two, once you've registered your business, because all my rules build
Okay.
upon each other. You can't do one without the other. Go back to the foundation example that I
Yes.
was using, right? So, register a business. Two, open up a business checking account, a business credit card. You can't get a business credit card or a business checking account without having a business, all right? Then number three, separate your transactions.
Okay.
Okay. Anything that's personal, spend it on your personal account. Anything that's business, spend it on business. And what do I mean anything that's business? Really, as business owners, we are able to expense, we're able to pay for anything that we
Yes.
use to generate revenue. So whatever you're paying for, right, whether on your debit card, your check, or ACH, or Zelle, or credit card, right? If it's to
Hmm.
produce revenue in your business, you can spend it from your business account. Don't spend from that personal credit card just because you love
Yeah.
those points. You love those travel. You've had it forever and ever. I tell people, hey,
Hmm.
most personal credit cards, there's a business version of it. So
Yes.
you're not going to
I
lose
see.
those benefits that you had on your personal. Just do it with your business. Okay. And then one good thing, all right, last tip I'm going to throw in because I'm going to be throwing in some nuggets here and there. Business credit
Hmm.
cards don't show up on your personal credit report. Okay. So I'm going to leave you with that. Think about that a little bit. What's the next question? Sorry about that.
No, I love it. Okay, next question. What advice do you have to help business owners keep their financial statements clean?
Perfect. Great question. And it really goes back to that last point where we were talking about your business checking account and your business credit card. If you can use your bank accounts and your credit card accounts as the ledger that shows all of the transaction history of your business, well, for us accountants, we can just pull up those bank transactions and we'll be able to build financial statements just based on your bank accounts.
I want to chime in.
Go
You know,
ahead.
you use the word ledger. That's an industry terminology. So, for those of you who are not in the finance space, a ledger is just basically a list of all your assets and liabilities, you know, a list of expenses and income. It's just a list. It's an old terminology. So, you're dating yourself, my friend.
Hey, sometimes I do get technical, but hey, thanks. Call me out on that because I really want to make sure that people are understanding, the what we are talking about so that they can have
Yes.
that good foundation, right? So, therefore, once we're able to pull all those transactions from your bank account, that's when we can put it into an accounting software and be able to report on it and give you your profit and loss or your balance sheet and so on, so that you can monitor the performance of your business.
So I'm hearing keep it all in one place, but I don't think that's exactly, you're saying everything in one place. There might still be demarcations. Like you might still have your payroll account separate and keep that all in one place. Keep your expenses, your operational expenses all in one place, is what I'm hearing. And then you might be able to keep, because I always say have three accounts, have your payroll, your taxes, and your operations. Is that correct?
Good question. My personal opinion is that
Yes.
keep it simple. You
Okay.
don't have time. So, another saying that I have is I want to automate your accounting, payroll, tax side of your business so that you can spend the
Yeah.
majority of your brain power to figure out how to scale your business. All right. And
Okay.
if that side starts to get complicated, if you've got to move money here and there and all that stuff, and you don't really have that time, and now you have bounce transactions and overdraft and all this and all that, maybe let's just keep it simple, just have one account doing everything. Okay. Now, if you are good, you can log into your banking app, you can move stuff. It's all based on your ability, right?
Yeah.
Here's another one I give. Same in that same line, it's about receipts. Because I tell all of our clients, you must keep all of your receipts. Not some, not 80%, not none. You gotta keep all of your receipts. However, I don't care how you keep it. Me personally, I don't. Well, this is recorded, so hopefully no one laughs at me. I've got a little Manila folder here
Mhm.
that I just throw all of my receipts in.
I
All
do the
right,
same. I still do the same.
I don't take a picture of them. I don't scan them in. I don't organize them and label them. And if I get audited, I'll go through and organize them. But I keep a Manila folder per year. Okay. And
Okay.
most of my spending is going to be, let's say, like Amazon and all these different platforms. If they keep my receipts for me for years and years, I don't need to print it out and put it in my Manila folder. So it's just my
I see.
manual receipts that I have that I just keep inside that folder, right? But
I
that's what
see.
works for me. Now, some other people, they might have an admin. They'll just hand their receipts to that admin and that admin scans it in and so on. That doesn't mean what we are both doing, one is better than the other. It's I can do my style 100% of the time properly. If you can do
I
whatever
see.
you are doing 100% of the time, it is the right one
Yeah.
for you. No one should be telling you there's one that's better than the other. I just want you to be
I
able to
see.
do it easily so that you can focus most of your brain power in growing and scaling your business because there are many challenges on that side. You don't want banking to be one of your challenges or
Yeah.
accounting to be one of your challenges. You've got enough on your plate.
I see. Okay, I have a tip to add to that. So for a part of my business, we use an app called
Okay.
Expensify.
Yes.
And that's because it's good for invoicing and recording your expenses and mileage and things like that. And I get
Yes.
reimbursed on all of that. And so, for those of you who don't know, they are not sponsoring this show. But if you are the kind of person that likes everything on an app on your phone, I recommend Expensify. I love it. I've used it the last 6 months and I just it's really simple. So I recommend that for people who are just kind of like, I'm not a paper person. I'm never going to save a piece of paper in my life. So if that's you, try
Definitely.
Expensify.
Definitely.
So, my next question is, I would love for you to share one of your experiences, maybe the best or worst, or something in between your experience as a CPA firm working with entrepreneurs. What's the best experience you've had that, you know, you're like, oh my gosh, this was ideal? Or maybe the worst, you're kind of like, I never want to see this again. Don't tell their names, they may know who they are. Or maybe something in between.
No, that man, where there's so many experiences because or maybe this is how I would sum it up. We get to interact with or maybe let me put it this way. We sit in a very privileged place
Hmm.
in most entrepreneurs' lives. So many people call it we know where the bodies are buried, so to speak. Right? So we see the good, the bad in the middle. All right. We have the ability to advise you, but hey, you still get to make that final decision.
Yes.
And the joys and the challenges are when, as advisor and as entrepreneur, we're coming together and trying to figure out things. And, you know, at the end of it all, it really works out. Maybe a client is trying to buy a building and so on. So we start working on their financials and putting it together and working through it and making sure that the expense ratios, and I'm going to get a little technical there because there's a lot that banks look at, but the expense ratio, the debt to income, the debt service ratios and so on are just right so that we can qualify for that loan. And so maybe even inside that loan we get them a good loan that's able to not only acquire the building but give them extra working capital. And just at the end of that process, just to see the elation from that business owner, like, man, I'm now able to take my business to that
Next.
next level. It just feels great to be part of that story.
So, if I want to summarize that, I would say keeping a clean book of finance is one of the key things that's going to get you to the next level in your business.
Definitely. I'm a big fan of Shark Tank. I watch most of their episodes.
I
I,
do too.
I
I
I
love
don't get
it.
sponsored by them. All right. Also, just to disclaim that. Also, but in I would say 99% of the episodes, just to leave some room for error. Right. 99% of the episodes I've watched, they've always asked every entrepreneur, "Do you know your numbers?" You can be a baker,
That's true.
you can be a pharmacist, you can be an inventor, you can be whatever, whatever, whatever. Every single person, no matter what your background is, they expect them to know their numbers. And you, as an
That's
entrepreneur, you're
true.
just running out there, you don't know your numbers? Come on. Number one rule, be organized. If you're organized, you'll know your number or you'll have the
Yes.
ability to have your numbers. Now, you don't have to have them memorized. There are many tools. Expensify is one that you mentioned. There are many accounting tools that have apps on your phone where you can pull up your sales, your revenues, your profits for the month, for the year, for the quarter, and compare them and so on and so forth. But at least you've got that opportunity to do so. If you're an entrepreneur and you have an accountant or a CPA that's doing your books and you do not have access to your books, change your CPA.
I love that. That's true. Because it's, at the end of the day, it's your
Yeah.
books. You are responsible for your
Yes.
numbers, not your CPA. Oh my God. That's great advice. So, I have a bonus question for you.
Okay.
What advice do you have for today's entrepreneur?
Whew, man. I'm big on sharing knowledge, so I always ask my clients, especially new clients that come in, I tell them, hey, you know what? As we are going to be helping advise you in your business, anything you see about my business or my staff or whatever we're doing that we need to work on, let us know. We're not perfect. All right. So this is a two-way street. I help you, you
Yes.
help me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're all looking out for each other. Not that at the first sign of an issue, you just walk out the door. Those people don't know what they're doing. They're better than you. No, all right. We are all works in progress.
Yeah.
Okay. So the best advice is actually an advice that I received, and it was measure 3 times before you cut once
Hmm.
for all entrepreneurs. A lot of times we get, whew, man, I don't want to be too long winded, so I'm going to figure out how to shave this short, but we get stuck in our expertise and we
Mm-hmm.
think that everything we touch turns to gold,
Oh,
and we
true.
start we start forgetting the little things that we did to be able to get to where we are at. So we start to forget those processes. We start to forget that analysis, and we
Yeah.
start to overvalue our abilities, and therefore it could easily make you have a bad move.
I
Okay.
see. Measure
Yes.
3 times before you cut once. That's wise advice. So, how can people get in touch with you? How can they reach you?
You can go to our website and just send us a what do you call it, a note. I think you can also book an appointment with us through the website and so on. But our website is OmotayoCPA.com. We've got two locations here in Dallas, one in Denton, one in North Dallas area. Denton is a small city outside of DFW, or actually it's still part of DFW. But
I'm gonna
yes.
need you to spell that Amatayo CPA. It's for our audience, yeah, because not everybody's intuitively Nigerian.
No worries, no worries. It's OmotayoCPA.com.
Thank you very much. It was such a
Thank you.
pleasure having you,
Hey, no
and just
problem.
getting
Thank
to know
you.
a little bit more about you and what you do. And yes, getting you to share your history. And I know you kind of still saved a bunch of stuff because I know you're in a lot of things entrepreneurially and you're moving all of that, you know, together, which is pretty impressive while running a huge CPA firm. But thank you so much for the wisdom. And if I want to summarize what you said today, be organized. I mean, organization is the best foundation you can have as a business owner. Register your company if you don't have it registered. Open up
Yep.
a business checking account and credit card. Separate transactions. And then I think one thing that I hadn't really paid attention to is your business credit card doesn't show up on your credit report, which is really good because it's
Yes.
building your business report and it's not messing with your personal stuff. So that's really great. And then use a credit card account as a ledger. I think the only thing I would add, I still stand by the fact that having 3 accounts is really helpful in getting organized in the sense that, you know, your payroll account, when it comes to taxes, a lot of people don't even remember to pay your taxes. So
Mm-hmm.
separating that out, I'm a big believer in that. Have an account for your payroll, set it aside immediately so you don't spend that money, and then payroll your taxes. So at least you know what you're paying yourself and you're decided on what you're paying yourself, not that you're
Yes.
coming into the business account and taking 500 there, 1,000 there, 10,000 there, you know. So that's why I always advise to separate those three. But it's been a pleasure having you today. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Yes, this has been awesome and wonderful. I really appreciate this platform. And I was great meeting you, Aisha. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. You have a wonderful day. Hey there. In today's episode, you probably noticed that the guest and I may have different opinions on a particular way to keep your records. I don't claim to be an expert, and I'm not an expert. I'm learning as you are, and I'm exploring as I learn. I want you to know that we actually had some people pre listen to the episode before it was published, and we came to the conclusion that it is better. You are the best person who knows what's best for your business. And depending on how organized you are, it might be easier for you to keep it all in one. But I just want to share this. I've learned from other people's experiences, and I actually do keep 3 accounts. And sometimes maybe that's not the easiest for you. But the reason I do that is because one, once the money is already set aside, I have less tendency to go touch that account because I know exactly what it's for. And you don't have to make things difficult for yourself. If 3 accounts are too hard, you can start with one. But I just know that for me, it's been really beneficial to separate my payroll, my tax, and my operating account. And I'll encourage you to do the same. Again, you know what works best for you. And depending on where you are, it might be easier to just start having everything in one account. I know some people say use one credit card. However, not everything might go on that credit card. And certainly your income doesn't go in that credit card. So you might just, have a credit card for all of your expenses and then have your bank account for the income and separate it from there or have it automated. But do what's best for you. And that's one of the things I just wanted you to know that sometimes I may disagree with the guest, and that's okay. You are the ultimate decision maker when it comes to how you use the information that you learn on this episode. Well, join us next time as we explore how to continue to pay ourselves a growing six-figure salary from our small business. Thank you for joining me today. If you'd like to learn more, be sure to click on the show notes below for the links to some referrals and recommendations. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time.